40 plus worst deaths witnessed. According to Reddit, I'll be pulling from a couple of lists for this one, so just bear with me on the numbers. On this list, we'll be starting at number 10. It reads, back at my first ever job at a dollar store, in a not so good area of town, it was me and my night manager working the night shift, and 5 minutes before closing and locking the door, two of our regular customers walked in to buy snacks for a movie night. After they left, we were gonna lock up, count the drawers, and go home. Simple run-of-the-mill night. It was the slowest day that we ever had, as the customers were checking out another man walking in with a sweater wrapped around his head. My first thought was, wow, he must really be hot in 98-degree Texas night. And then he pushed his way to the front, and the gun came up and was less than a foot away from my face. He says, "Open the drawer." I took a step back, said I don't know how to. I knew, but I figured if I did, I outlived my usefulness, and boom, no more Tonito. I'm guessing that's his name. Tonito. Well, my manager tells him, don't point it at him, he doesn't know how. She came around and opened hers with the guy following behind her. At this time, one of the customers turned out to be a CHL holder, drew on the robber, and fired. If I didn't duck 5 seconds before, who knows what would have happened. A small gunfight ensued. 30 seconds later, when I got my hearing back, I asked my manager, "What do we do now?" I got no response. I figured she was deaf from the shots. I asked again, while moving closer, and I saw red on the floor, and her eyes closed. I tapped her to ask if she's okay, and she collapsed. A bullet hit her heart. I came to find out it was the customer's bullet that killed her, and that was that. Less than 5 minutes before all of this, we were talking about her first year anniversary of her wedding and the gifts that she was going to get her husband. It's been 6 years, and I still have nightmares about it. The only thing about this is that I found the job I love, which led me to the woman I love. The only good thing. That woman saved your life, dude. That woman saved your life. Well, as we proceed on this list up to number 9, it reads, it was 9/11/2016. I was going to the airport to pick up my wife. As we passed one of the parking lots, the car in front of me slams on its brakes. I throw up my arms like, what the fuck? At that point, my 8-year-old daughter says to me, "Daddy, that plane just crashed." I look to my left, and sure enough, a small plane was crashed in the parking lot 50 yards from us. I immediately pulled over and told my daughter to wait in the car. I bolted out and headed towards the crash. A handful of people were in the vicinity, kind of in shock. I have some first responder training and felt like I had to help if I could. I was the first one to approach the crash. The plane was upside down and there was airplane fuel everywhere. Cars were smashed all around it. I foolishly stood in fuel as I assessed the situation. I'm not proud of that. The first person I saw must have been the pilot. His upper body was dangling down and his lower half was trapped in mangled metal. I yelled out to him, "Can you hear me? Do you need help?" No response. I moved the other side of the plane where I saw the second person, a woman, handcuffed, dangling much in the same way as the pilot. She was also dead. As I peeked my head around the crumpled metal, I found the third and final person. He was in the worst shape of all. That day changed my life. I had always wondered how I would respond to something like that. One part of me is relieved I didn't shy away, and I went right up to the front line to help. The other part of me wonders what would have happened had a spark lit that fuel, and your baby girl back there in the car waiting on daddy. You got a kid to worry about, homie. You need to at least be present in that chick's life. Jeez, what if it set off a chain reaction that traveled through all the other fuel-filled cars back to your freaking little girl? See, a mom, as crazy as moms are, they probably wouldn't have done that. Mama probably would have turned her happy ass around and drove into oncoming traffic to get her baby the hell out of there. Hell, maybe she'd have jumped out of the car, grabbed the baby, and ran in the opposite direction. Moms are crazy, but at least they crazy in a way that they believe, has their kid best interest at heart. Just throwing that out there. Happy Mom's Day, you know what I mean? Because every holiday is Mom's Day. It's true, though. As we continue up to number 8 on this list, it reads, my family of 7 lived in a small 2-bedroom apartment above the family business when I was a child. I was the oldest, 10 years old at the time, and the only boy. My youngest sister was 3, and 2 of us were extremely close. My parents were almost always downstairs working crazy hours, and my mom entrusted me with watching my baby sister during the summer months or any other time I wasn't in school. We played together, and I think I meant the world to her because of how much time and attention she got from me. One morning, though, I woke up and decided that I was going to spend the day with my friends outside and pawn my responsibility. Hey, everybody. Anyway, one morning, though, I woke up and decided that I was going to spend the day playing with my friends outside and pawned my responsibility for our baby sister onto one of the other sisters who was 6 years old at the time, and I went outside. Me not being there, I guess, confused the 3-year-old, and she asked where I was. The 6-year-old told my sister that I was outside playing. While the 6-year-old went to the kitchen to grab something, the 3-year-old climbed up onto my bed that was directly beneath a window to look out of it for me and saw me playing across the street. We didn't have AC because we were poor, and it being summer, we would keep the window open with a screen to help cool the room. Anyway, she climbed up onto the window ledge and pressed against the screen to try to get me. One of my friends I was outside with alerted me right at this moment, and I looked just in time to see the screen give way and for her to topple out, fall 2 stories, and smash her head on the pavement below. My other sister, I found out much later, had returned from the kitchen just in time to see her fall as well. Past that point is kind of a blur. I remember screaming, either blacking out or fainting. I remember the ambulance, and I remember my dad kind of losing his mind at the scene and physically attacking a reporter from the local paper who had arrived and was attempting to take pictures of the event, and him having to be restrained by the police. I also remember a few hours later being the one to tell my mom what happened. This was before cell phones, when she got home from the grocery shopping. The look on her face is something I don't think I'll ever forget. It kinda destroyed my family and fucked the 2 of us who witnessed it up pretty bad. I can remember laying in bed staring at that window night after night for hours, just thinking about how it was my fault. I know the sister who was watching her at the time had a similar experience in the following years, but none of us ever spoke about it or anything. After that, once I hit puberty, I became what the school system would call a troubled youth, engaging in vandalism, hey? Vandalism. Round 2. Engaging in vandalism, setting fires, and walking the streets for days at a time, getting drunk high with my friends. Hi. In school, I would frequently get in trouble for either sleeping through class or getting suspended for turning in essays or whatever that the teachers found disturbing. Oh, this guy's edgy. I generally stayed out of trouble in the physical sense, but on occasions when some kids who didn't know better tried to pick a fight with me, I would go way overboard in response and legitimately try to put them in the hospital, smashing their teeth in with my skateboard, things like that. Between school and my mom, I was seeing four different psychologists, therapists, and counselors simultaneously, and all it did was instill in me an aversion to therapy. It just turned into a lot of anger and resentment that we are only now, 20 years later, starting to finally work through. I hated my dad for a very long time for what he turned into, until I had a kid of my own, and it made a lot more sense. Not to say emotional abuse, yelling and hitting and all of that is in any way okay, but having to bury the unbelievable pain of losing a child, not allow yourself to grieve and keep it all together because there are 4 other kids relying on you to feed them, plus the stress of running a struggling business while also going to college full time. Like I said, it's not okay, but at least it's more understandable in retrospect than back when I was living in the moment and before I understood what being a parent was. Once I became an adult, I went into the army and saw a lot more very violent deaths in Iraq. None of it really affected me the same way. The intense, seething rage that was my teenage years has fizzled out, and I'm generally pretty empty inside and disconnected, which I suppose is preferable, in that nothing usually bothers me and I get along with most people. Good for you, bro. Trying very hard to make sure my child has a better go of it. As we arrive at number 7 on this list. Not sure if I'd say violent, but traumatizing. My mom and dad were cooling off after an argument, and my dad was giving me lunch in my high chair. I was almost 3 years old. My mom was in another room of the house and was giving my dad the silent treatment. My dad had a heart attack and died right in front of me while I was strapped in that high chair. My mom has no idea how long he'd been dead for by the time she heard me crying, screaming. I don't remember the incident. I remember the funeral home and other bits and pieces around that time. I had a strange fascination with death after that. I would have panic attacks and have what I believed were psychogenic seizures. I'd just black out when I thought about death too much. Hey guys, Gael here. Seems crazy, seems random. God, it's Christmas Eve, Kyle. Why are you doing a list about death? It's because it was on my mind, baby. Death's always on my mind. Death should always be on your mind. It's always right around the corner. And it could claim you or any of the people that you fill the slot of your loved ones with. And I feel like it should be a little bit instrumental in governing your actions. Making it so that you don't pull a female and overreact or get overly emotional at something. This story, I feel, emphasizes my point wonderfully because, there it was. That's going to be the last interaction that mom and that dad ever had. Some bullshit argument where instead of ending it properly, you know what I mean, she started giving him the silent treatment. Nigga walked away and had a heart attack right in front of the baby. don't let this be you, baby. You know, just try your best to come to a conclusion, even if it's something that can't be solved super quickly. You know what I mean? Try to resolve it. Try to control your emotions. Try to keep yourself managed. Don't let your temper get out of control. Don't rile yourself up, so to speak. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that there aren't things worth getting riled up over. I'm not saying that, you know, you shouldn't exhibit emotion. I'm not trying to make you guys Vulcan or something. I'm just implying, you know, that there are a lot of things that ain't worth it, so to speak. And this whole leaving angry and going to sleep angry bullshit, y'all need to get out of the habit of that kind of crap, because you don't know what day might be your last. You don't know that you're going to wake up after every night that you go to bed. You don't know that when you get behind the wheel of the car, that some drunk motherfucker isn't going to come bashing into your ass and kill you. And then they survive so they could go live their twiddle along on their fucking skiwi to fuck. You know what I'm talking about? Get me the ginger bin friggle blease out in this pickle. So as we continue up this list of what? 40 plus worst deaths witnessed. Well, you know I'm pulling from multiple lists as well, so don't even worry about it. Don't even trip, bro. We're at number 6 on this list. I was doing security at a celebration for Indianapolis Colts and was walking through an alley downtown when a guy who had jumped off of the pool deck of a hotel landed about 5 feet away from me. I stood in shock for a few seconds and then walked over to him. He had a compound fracture of his leg, but it wasn't gory at all, just a bit of bone sticking out of his skin. There was a small stream of blood going from his head towards the curb, and maybe 30 seconds later, a few policemen and my supervisor came running around the corner and took over. It affected me pretty badly for about 24 hours, but then the news broke that he was a child molester. Bing bong who jumped when the cops were closing in on him. The moment I heard that, I was fine. It was like it never happened. Oh my God. A child molester trying to jump and end his life to get away from the police. Oh boy. Number 5. I saw a pedestrian get hit by a tractor trailer. It was bad. She was decapitated, and the smell was something I will never forget. Ugh. I don't want to think about people's insides. Someone says, I hope this doesn't sound insensitive, but what did it smell like? Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. Number 4. My friends and I used to play by this creek. My cousin's house backed up to woods, and the creek was about a mile. Wait a minute. Is this the one about climbing the tree? Whatever. My friends and I used to play by this creek. My cousin's house backed up to the woods, and the creek was about a mile deep behind their home. We played by there pretty much every day during the summer. One thing we used to do was swing from one side to the other with a rope swing that we made. One day we were swinging, and one of our buddies, Josh, slipped. It wasn't super uncommon to slip. You usually just fell in the creek, got wet, and went home and changed later. This time was different. Josh fell backwards and ended up hitting his head perfectly on these large rocks that were by the edge of the creek. The impact was so bad that he was bleeding profusely. My brother jumped in to make sure he didn't drown, and I ended up running back to my aunt's house with one of my cousins and a friend. My brother, other cousin, and another friend stayed back. We got help, but it was too late. It was just a freak accident. We fell so many times off that stupid swing and nothing ever happened. He just fell wrong that day, and it ended his life. I could hear his parents' screams from my aunt's backyard when they got back there. It was awful. Jeez. Number 3 on this list. I'm a combat veteran and have witnessed plenty of violent deaths, but one that I guess stands out happened in 1969. My unit, 12 Cavalry, was conducting operations right along the Cambodian border, clearing the area of NVA troops. This was in the Bin Long province. Well, one day we're clearing this small village, and me and 2 new recruits named Private McLaughlin and Private Storm, and another guy on his first tour, PFC Romano, had to clear this small hut. Why the hell are you all? Stop it with the parentheses. I fucking hate you. Anyway, we break down the door, and Storm walks in first and gets shot immediately in the stomach. McLaughlin just sprays the inside of the house, but when he runs out of ammo, he drops his gun and just runs inside the hut. McLaughlin was a stupid hothead and was best friends with Storm, so I think he went inside the hut to drag him out. Well, me and Romano were at the bottom of the staircase heading up to the hut, and we had ducked when the first round of fire broke out. Well, now we're hauling ass up the stairs after McLaughlin because he just charged into a house without his goddamn weapon. Well, we hear screaming, and when we enter the house, we see McLaughlin in a hand-to-hand fight with this NVA soldier. We can't shoot because him and McLaughlin are constantly shifting positions, and we don't want to shoot McLaughlin. I start screaming at McLaughlin to let go of him and get away so I can shoot him. Romano went to Storm and dragged him out of the hut, but McLaughlin wasn't listening and was just screaming all this shit like, fuck you, you goddamn gook, and all this other shit at the top of his lungs, so he couldn't hear me. Well, he ends up pulling out his bayonet to stab the guy, but then he grabs onto McLaughlin's throat. Then McLaughlin tries to stab him in the throat, but just gets him in the shoulder, and they both collapse. I still can't shoot because McLaughlin is blocking the view. I can see the NVA's soldiers what the fuck? I can see the NVA soldiers' gouging at hands, bitch. God damn. I can see the NVA soldiers' hands gouging at McLaughlin's eyes, though. McLaughlin just starts stabbing like with so much rage and venom and is screaming like a madman. The NVA soldier is screaming too, and by this time another group of guys had come into the hut with all the commotion. Well, McLaughlin is just slashing the guy's throat and face for a few seconds before the NVA soldier finally dies. McLaughlin keeps stabbing him, hitting him, and finally we guys have to pull him off of the corpse that looks like a Jack the Ripper victim. His throat and face were practically cut open. His chest was just tomato juice. Even I couldn't look at it for more than a few seconds. I later slapped McLaughlin for being a fucking idiot and putting himself and other men in danger by charging into a house without a firearm, but McLaughlin ended up being a total nutcase. And I think that one killing really messed him up. He became way too violent and unpredictable. After 3 months, he got a court-martial for stabbing another soldier. Storm survived, though. He never came back to Vietnam. No idea what happened to either of them after Vietnam. Hearing shit about this makes me wish we could really go back in time and have, Vietnam people that were like there at the time writing Reddit posts. Holy shit. Well, as we arrive at number 2 on this list, before we go to another, my cousin killed another person in self-defense. We were at a club and in the parking lot when another group of people started arguing with my cousins. We were heading away when one of the guys gets out and kicks the car and spits on it. He then runs back to the passenger side of his vehicle, and my cousin gets out yelling at him. The guy pulls a gun and fires, but missed. During this, my cousin pulled his own gun out, but did not miss. He was charged with murder, but being a CCP holder, Voluntarily turning himself in, multiple shells on the ground, eyewitness statements, and other things, he was found not guilty. Eventually. Can you imagine like having to go through all of that bullshit when somebody else fired their gun first and you fired in retaliation? Eyewitnesses, multiple shells on the ground. The evidence speaks in your favor and you still got to jump through all these bullshit hoops. What the fuck? Michael Davis says CCP, concealed carry. He can legally have a gun. You know, if somebody just picks up a damn gun and they don't have a permit for that bitch, you know what I mean? And they shoot somebody, you in trouble, nigga, you know what I mean? But if you jump through all of the legal hoops to be like, yeah, I can hold a gun. Yeah, that's all right. Number 1 on this list, though. When I was in the Peace Corps in Ghana, I saw a man stoned to death. He had stolen a taxi in a nearby city, brought it to the village I was staying in. Unfortunately for him, the man he stole the taxi from was from the village he brought it to. The villagers ganged up on him and stoned him in the street. Men, women, and children all participated. It was a very strange, surreal experience, and horrifying. None of the volunteers knew what to do. After a bit of that street justice. This list was entitled People Who Have Witnessed a Violent Death. What was your experience? From here, we're traveling over to another list entitled What is the Worst Excruciating Way Anyone Has Died? So I guess we can look forward to some sort of historically torturous deaths. Like William Wallace, for instance. Wallace was taken from the Hall to the Tower of London, then stripped naked and dragged through the city and at the heels of a horse to the Elms at Smithfield. He was hanged, drawn and quartered, strangled by hanging, but released while he was still alive. He was emasculated. I'm guessing they chopped off his ding-dong. He was eviscerated, and his bowels burned before him. He was then beheaded, then cut into 4 parts. His preserved head, that was dipped in tar, was placed on a pike atop London Bridge. It was later joined by the heads of his brothers, John and Simon Fraser. His limbs were displayed separately in Newcastle, Berwick, Stirling, and Perth. Yet Ajit Pai gets to walk around like totally fine. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, number 13, the Sicilian Bull. The bull was made entirely of bronze, hollow, with a door in one side. The bull was in the form and size of an actual bull and had an acoustic apparatus that converted screams into the sound of a bull. The condemned were locked inside the device, and a fire was set under it, heating the metal until the person inside was roasted to death. The Sicilian Bull. Death machines. Oh my God. Dead guy roasting inside of a bull. Number 12. Locked in syndrome. Oh no, this sounds like a brain affliction. Oh no. What is it? The complete version of it is where your thoughts are locked inside and you have no way to communicate. I think I would go totally insane. Death would not come soon enough. That's kind of sad. Well, number 11. Today I learned about a ninja who was killed by being buried up to his head and had dull bamboo shoots positioned around his neck and was slowly decapitated over the course of several days. Oh my God. Slow decapitation? What the fuck? Uh-oh, Kevin. That's my man. He's gonna kill me with kindness. You guys are gonna have another death on your hand if this guy has his way. Thank you, my man, Kevin. You're the chosen one. Hello. Hope everybody's doing all right. Thanks again, Kevin. You're such a badass, Kevin. As we continue, someone responds, in a similar vein, people were also killed by being suspended by their hands and feet over a bed of bamboo shoots, which would eventually grow and pierce through their torso and limbs. What the hell? Are you kidding me? Oh my God. Number 10. How about the caver in Utah? I think he tried exploring a new section of a cave. He got stuck head first down in like 8 by 18 feet tube that he hoped he could wiggle through to a bigger portion on the other side. There was no bigger portion. They spent a day trying to get him out, almost did, but the wriggling failed and he wedged deeper into the hole. He eventually died by being upside down for too long. They ended up filling the cave entrance with concrete and consider the entire thing his grave. Now that's fucking creepy. People who cave are a little nuts, dude. Don't do it, guys. Jeez. Oh boy. Number 9. I read once a guy needed to crawl in and clean a bread baking oven that continued to rotate the conveyor in which the bread was on. The oven had been turned off and cooled, as it was supposed to be, but the guy cleaning didn't give it enough to fully cool on the inside, so he climbed up on top over the conveyors as they slowly pushed him into the oven. About a third of the way in, he realized it was too hot inside the oven, and he tried to back out. The conveyors got caught on his clothes, and and kept feeding him through. He slowly cooked to death as the conveyor mercilessly pushed him through the long oven. He would have felt every bit of it. Oh my God. There's a link here to an article about a guy who worked for Bumblebee Tuna who ended up trapped in a walk-in oven and slowly roasted to death at 200 and... Oh my God. Oh my God. What you doing in a walk-in oven? How much they paying you to be in a walk-in oven? What are you doing in there? What are you doing in a walk-in oven? You working anywhere where there's a walk-in oven? What the fuck you doing in there? You couldn't pay me to go in there. There couldn't be an elephant blocking the door for the fucking walk-in oven that would make me feel trustworthy enough to be walking in no damn walk-in oven. You stay out of an oven. Stay out of an oven. Look, number 8. What are you doing? Number 8. Junko Furuta. We see this bitch on every list. This poor girl. 17 years old, baby. Seems a little redundant to warn those who are sensitive to others' pain in this particular thread, but still. She was captured and repeatedly tortured for 44 days and was raped over 400 times during the ordeal until she was burned alive. But she was beat the fuck up. That's the sick part. You know what I mean? That's the sick part. You want to capture a girl and rape the shit out of her? Yes, it's terrible. It's unconsensual. You know what I mean? But I mean, It's not like you're beating her ass and you're fucking, oh my God. They beat this bitch unrecognizable. Let me continue. People knew she was there, but they were too afraid of the boys that kept her captive to help her. Oh, this guy's like, I tried typing out what was done to her, but it feels wrong. Nigga, then why don't we find an article that does it properly with your hoe ass? Shut the fuck up. You ain't got the right shit to say. Alright? The murder of Junko Furuta. She was raped over 400 times. They also invited and encouraged their friends to humiliate and gang rape her. They starved her. They beat her several times with golf clubs and bamboo sticks and iron rods. They used her as a punching bag by hanging her body from the ceiling. They dropped barbells onto her stomach several times. They forced her to eat live cockroaches and drink her own urine. They forced her to masturbate in front of them. They inserted foreign objects such as iron bars, scissors, and skewers into her vagina, okay, and anus. They rendered her unable to defecate and urinate properly. Jesus Christ. They shoved a still lit light bulb into her. They set fireworks inside her. My God. Yeah, you're getting it. They burnt her up in there in the clit with cigarettes and lighters. They burned her eyelids with hot wax and lighters. They tore off her left nipple with pliers. They pierced her breasts with sewing needles. You know, these motherfucking boys, these asshole boys, you know? What's the point of that? You know what I'm talking about? What's the point of that? Like, how hard had they been fucked by life where they're doing that? Or were they just born with evil in them? These aren't guys that have like had their whole life taken away by a woman, so now they're gonna find one woman and punish her, you know, for what's been done to them. This was just evil. Why? You know, most of us reach a point in our life where we do something silly, like we step on an ant, or we kill a cockroach or a fly or something, and then we have like a moment, you know, where we're just like, fuck, man, I killed something. I don't feel too good about that. I mean, yeah, it was a little thing, but it was still a thing that had some manner of life, you know. It was a pest as far as we were concerned, but it wasn't like something that was actively trying to be a pest. You know, this is just its existence, and we feel bad about that. But think about taking something, heating it up, and sticking it inside somebody else with the express fucking desire to cause misery within them. What is wrong with you? Find another dudes to kind of like be all about that shit and just better to just kill her. What's the point of all this? But that's what these guys are about. Junko Furuta. Poor girl. Number 7. My favorite martyr is Saint Lawrence of the Gridiron. He was roasted alive on a huge grill. They grilled a man? Reportedly, when his roaster asked him to deny his faith, Lawrence said, "Turn me over. I'm done on this side." Oh my God. Somebody said, boom, roasted. Can you imagine how bored niggas were like back in the day? You know, just ain't got nothing going on in your fuck ass life. You gonna kill some other people for what they believe in. That is heresy. That is blasphemy. You will believe what I tell you to believe, or I will kill you. What say you now? I still believe what I believe. You motherfucker! I will kill you. Don't think I won't do it. I'll kill you. I'll set the example for all these other people. They do what I tell them to do because I tell them I'll kill them if they don't. And they want to live. I'd rather die for my belief. And if you kill me, you'll make me a martyr. I may die, but my ideas, they'll live forever. You motherfucker, I'm going to grill you alive. I'm going to grill you alive. Number 6, man. Consort QI. QI was consort to Emperor Gaozu of the Chinese Han dynasty. She bore him a son, the Empress Liuzi. or was attempting to push her son to be the emperor's heir, though the emperor preferred the son of his consort. This infuriated Liu Zi, so she did the logical thing and had QI shaved, placed in chains, and dressed as a prisoner. She had assassins forced poison down QI's son's throat. She cut off her lips, cut out her tongue, gouged out her eyes, and had her arms and legs amputated. Afterwards, she threw her in a manure-filled pigsty, where she survived for several torturous days, being presented as human swine. Liu Zi's son, having become the next emperor, was so disgusted by her cruelty that he became a fervent alcoholic, basically giving up his duties as regent. Oh my god. Which is worse, you think? I mean, it's all terrible. It's all terrible. Let's start there. We're not saying that any can be worse. You know, I think Junko is worse because at least this one died, you know? I don't know. It's all bad, you know? But like being raped over and over, having all this shit dropped on you, it's a terrible, Let's not bother ourselves with such morbid thoughts. But getting all your arms and legs chopped off, and they chopping out your tongue, and they ripping off your lips, and all of this shit. What kind of shit is that? You gonna cut off somebody's lips, and then cut out their tongue, and throw them in a pigsty? What's wrong with you? People with power, boy, that is so scary. People with power. Can you imagine? Yeah, some of y'all better hope we never see an apocalypse, boy. Because that's going to bring out the real version of some people. You know what I'm talking about? Number 4. Soldiers who fell into the bogs created by shell holes in no man's land in World War I. It would take 12 to 14 hours to sink and drown in the mud. It was impossible to get out, toxic from the gas, and various other deadly items in it. How scary is that? Like a fucking bomb hitting the ground, baby, and creating a fucking just swampy, muddy bog. And it might as well be slow ass quicksand for your ass if you got if you got thrown into that shit. And you gonna have to spend a day dying, not just a day, but like a day choking on the fumes, knowing you can't get out. Sinking to the point where it's enveloped your ass, but you're not dead yet. Ooh, okay. Number 3. I would look at the case of Kiki Camarena. Camarena was an undercover DEA agent that was captured and tortured by the cartel in the 80s. Oh, DEA. He was injected with amphetamines and other drugs to ensure that he remained conscious while being tortured over a 30-hour period, culminating with a hole drilled into his head with a power drill. Someone responds with a little bit of insight. In October 2013, 2 former federal agents and an ex-CIA contractor told an American television network that CIA operatives were involved in Camarena's kidnapping and murder because he was a threat to the agency's drug operation in Mexico. The CIA was involved. According to the 3 men, the CIA was collaborating with drug traffickers, moving cocaine and marijuana to the United States, and is using its share of profits to finance Nicaragua's Contra rebels attempting to overthrow Nicaragua's Sandinista government. Are we the baddies? Hell yeah, we the baddies, nigga. Because the end will justify the means, so it doesn't matter what we do now, so long as we reach the conclusion that we're fucking worried about. You know what I'm talking about. America, fuck yeah. Which is why I'm just trying to eat my beef patties and stay inside. Keep my head down, don't rustle no feathers, you know what I'm talking about. I know shit gets real, but we don't need to worry about all of that shit, right? Because as far as we're concerned, it's over our heads and nothing we can really do about it, you know. That's the country we live in right now anyway. Otherwise, maybe things would be going different with the FCC. Kind of just what are you going to do about it? Kind of life that we're living. Merry Christmas. Number 2, anyone who died from scaphism. What's that? Well, you didn't highlight all of it. There you go. Just drag that into the toolbar. Scaphism is defined by Wikipedia as the boats. It's an ancient Persian method of execution designed to inflict torturous death that is reported in historical sources. The name comes from the Greek, meaning anything scooped or hollowed out. According to sources, which may not be reliable, it entailed trapping the victim inside 2 boats, feeding and covering him with milk and honey, and allowing him to fester and be devoured by vermin. Ew! Feed him milk and honey, that's rude. You know them, what? A criminal was contained inside a pair of narrow rowboats, with his head, hands, and feet protruding outside from his container. The person was then forced to ingest large amounts of milk and honey until developing a severe diarrhea. And the mixture of milk and honey was also rubbed on the exposed parts of his body, attracting flies and other insect species. Then he was left afloat on a still pond or a lake. The defenseless person's fecal matter slowly accumulated within the container, attracting more flies, which ate and bred within his or her exposed and increasingly gangrenous flesh. The person was then repeatedly fed each day to prevent fatal dehydration and starvation, and often prolonging the torture to several days or even weeks before death. When it eventually occurred, it was caused by a combination of various factors, most often because of septic shock. Blah. Blah. Number 1 on this list. A kid wanted to climb into the chimney on top of the house, and as he climbed in, he got stuck in the middle of the chimney with his back facing the ground. So he just waited there and slowly died. The skeleton was found after 8 years. Oh my God. So that list was what is the worst excruciating way anyone has ever died. Let's look at these other ones I've prepared. This one says, what's the saddest way one of your classmates has died? Another one says, oh, this is probably going to be like the same one. This one says, who died the worst death in history? And this one says, what is the most suspicious death of all time? Let's do 2 more of these, but I want you guys to pick from them. So most suspicious death of all time, you can just say suspicious, or SUS, since I know that's a hard word to type on out. You losers. I love you, I'm kidding. Worst death in history, you can just say worst for that one. Or saddest way a classmate died, you can say sad for that one. Michael wants suspicious. Okay. Anybody else care? Well, Rhea likes suspicious too. Rhea and those heavy titties. Vanessa says worst, but Kiki wants suspicious. We haven't seen Kiki in a long time. Linda wants suspicious as well. So we'll do suspicious and worst. Doesn't seem like anybody gives a damn about these sad students. So we'll do worst and then we'll do suspicious. So on the list of the worst deaths of all time, we will go ahead and start when it's around 1,000 upvotes. So that looks to be around here. Chris Dorner gets my vote. It seems like a cover-up. I feel like I've read about him. Oh my God. Christopher Dorner. Who the hell is Chris Dorner? I've forgotten. Hey, is this that guy that shot somebody? Or shot multiple people? I don't even know. All I know is that this dude they're saying that people came out. Dorner's death isn't really suspicious since we have direct audio recordings of officers that intentionally burned the cabin down. That's pretty interesting. They burnt the shit out of his cabin, homie. So I guess it's not suspicious at all. Number 19, Abraham Lincoln. I think he was murdered. Shut up. Number 17, the wife of David Miscavige. Isn't that the Scientology guy? The head of the Church of Scientology. She hasn't been seen in public since 2006. You guys want to talk about power? Imagine the power to just kidnap somebody and everybody know that you've done that, and whatever. They just roll with it. That's what power is, you know? Power isn't being able to rape a bitch and then, I want to say, like, be able to just hide that away from everybody. Power is being able to rape a bitch, like, out in the open and daring everybody that sees it to say something about it. That's power. That's scary, And everybody in your bullshit organization, they knows that what you're doing is wrong. They know that what you're getting up to is no good, but they're so scared of you ruining them that they don't say anything. And that's Scientology. And if any Scientologists are listening, hey man, I love you guys, and I'm kidding. He would never do these things, and I'm sure she's fine. Not that it matters. All hail King Miscavige, right? Anyway, she hasn't been seen in public since 2006, but he is quoted as saying she is not missing. Any reports that she is missing are false. Mrs. Miscavige has been working nonstop in the church, and she always has. Right. Number 15, Michael Connell. A man set to testify in a trial about vote tampering in 2004 presidential election. Oh, he was just killed out of nowhere? Uh-oh. Oh my God. Connell was killed when the plane he was flying crashed on December 19th, 2008. Oh my God. Oh my God. Man, if I ever learn anything, I'm going to keep my mouth shut for real. You know what I'm talking about? If I ever learn anything, I'm going to keep my mouth shut for real because it's kind of creepy. Number 13, Nicholas Barclay. The kid who went missing from Texas and then turned up in Spain several years later, but turned out it was Frederic Bourdin impersonating the boy. The missing boy's parents seemed to know he was a fraud, but went along with it, maybe to cover up what really happened to Nicholas. There is a creepy documentary about it called The Imposter. What the fuck? What the fuck? What you mean? A kid goes missing and then turns up and it's another nigga. And then the parents know it's another nigga, but they roll with it? What the fuck? Possibly nah, man. I'm interested in this, I'm interested in the documentary now. Whatever, boy. Let me get into the comments of that, maybe. Somebody said, this sounds fascinating. Okay. Look, boy. Number 12. Ken Lay, the CEO of Enron. Just after he's sentenced to a long prison term, he dies of a heart attack. And since he had appealed, it means his conviction is vacated, so his widow got all of his assets without having to deal with settlements and what would have been an inevitable crime in civil cases against him. Oh yeah, and his body was cremated before an independent autopsy could be performed. Sure. Damn, baby. Somebody said, mark my words, that motherfucker is somewhere in the South Pacific, sitting on a huge stack of dirty money and drinking Mai Tais. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? We'll never have that kind of cash, baby. To get in so much trouble, even with all that money and power, that you just gonna make it seem like, you know, maybe I'm going to jail. Oh my God, I had a heart attack. I'm cremated before the autopsy. Nah, don't worry about all that. I'm cremated. Here go the ashes. No, it's not baby powder. Don't lick it. I know it smells like it. That's what ashes look like. You don't know what ashes look like. Get out of here. Meet me in the Bahamas, baby. Oh my God. Number 10. I've signed up just to comment about the following case. In 1966, 2 male dead bodies were found in Niterói, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. There was no sign of violence or fight. Both of them were using suits and coats. Near the bodies, only an empty water bottle and a package containing 2 towels. Here comes the mysterious part. They were both using lead masks. I remember this. I remember this. 2 dudes, suits, lead masks. Is this the lead masks case? Dude, yes. Dude, yes. Creepier than a motherfucker. Yeah, dude. Let's look for this. This was some fascinating shit. So let me finish this really quick. Near the bodies, only an empty water bottle and a package containing 2 towels. Here comes the mysterious part. They were both using lead masks, and there was a paper containing some strange symbols and number combinations, some sort of reference to electronic or electric valves. Don't know how to say it in English. There were also a letter saying, with these exact words, note the strange grammar, 1630, be at the determined place, okay? And then at another time, ingest capsules after effect, protect metals, weight signal mask. There is no real conclusion to the case, as after all the exams, no sign of poisoning or violence was there. This case is called the lead masks case. It's fairly famous. Sorry for torturing you with my English attempt. On the afternoon of August 20th, 1966, a young man was flying a kite on the Morro de Vintem when he came upon the bodies of 2 deceased males and reported them to the authorities. The Morro de Vintem had difficult terrain, and the police were unable to reach the bodies until the next day. When a small team of police and firefighters arrived, they encountered an odd scene. The bodies rested next to each other, partly covered by grass. Each one wore a formal suit, a lead eye mask, and a waterproof coat. There were no signs of trauma or any evidence of a struggle, and next to the corpse, police found an empty water bottle, a packet containing 2 wet towels, a small notebook was also identified, in which were written the cryptic instructions, be at the specified location, ingest capsules after the effect, protect metals, await signal mask. 2 men were identified as, they were a guy named Pereira da Cruz and Miguel Jose Viana, 2 electronic technicians from Campus dos Goitascam, Bing Bong, a town several kilometers to the northeast of Rio de Janeiro. Following an investigation, police reconstructed a plausible narrative of the man's last days And on August 17th, crews in Vienna left Campos with the state intent that they needed to purchase some materials for work. The two men then boarded a bus, and evidence shows that the waterproof coats were purchased at a shop there, and one bottle of water from a local bar. Upon being interviewed, the waitress from the bar described Miguel as very nervous and noticed he frequently checked his watch, like they needed to be there in time. This is the last time they were known to have been seen alive. It is presumed that they went directly from the bar to the spot at which they were discovered. What the hell? Theories. There are multiple theories that have been proposed to explain the case, ranging from foul play to UFOs. One theory revolves around the testimony of a friend of the two men who claimed that they were members of a group of scientific spiritualists. The men were apparently attempting to contact extraterrestrials or spirits using psychedelic drugs. Believing that such an encounter would be accompanied by blinding light, the men cut metal masks to shield their eyes and may have died of drug overdoses. The account is corroborated by esoteric diary entry found on the scene and by mask-making materials and literature concerning spirits found at the men's homes. I don't know. As we continue. Damn. Number 7. Kurt Cobain. No fingerprints on the shotgun he used to kill himself. He would have had to use his foot to pull the trigger, but he had shoes on and something like 6 times the lethal amount of heroin in his system, which would have more than likely made him unconscious. The suicide note wasn't even suicidal until the end. The end was written in obviously a different handwriting than experts have been able to prove is Cobain's. I mean, she killed him, guys. She fucking killed him. Dude, you know she fucking killed him. That dirty bitch killed him. I'm not even gonna say her name. You know she killed him, but it's just fucked. It's just fucked. All of the talent in the world, and it couldn't stop the depression. It couldn't stop the sadness. And the worst part was, man, it doesn't matter how much you got going for you. If you mixing up with the wrong assholes, they gonna bring you the fuck down, baby. And sometimes, baby, the wrong assholes ain't just friends. They ain't just a boyfriend or a girlfriend that's hanging and riding your coattails. They ain't just somebody that's parasitically succubus style sucking the fucking life out of your ass and making your trudge through life a meaningless existence. It could be your parents too, baby. It could be somebody that you work with. You know what I mean? It could be a boss. It could be anybody. She killed that motherfucker. Fuck her for being able to dance through life. What a bitch. Ugh. Anyway, a man named El Duce, not the most reliable source admittedly, took a lie detector test saying that Courtney Love offered him $50,000 to whack Cobain. He passed with 99.7 accuracy. The private investigator searching for Kurt searched through the house, the same property where he died and was already dead at the time of the search, looking for drugs to show signs of Kurt. He searched underneath the bed and pillows and found nothing. Several months after Cobain's death, Love suddenly mentions another suicide note that she found under my pillow. Funny, since Kurt was dead and the detective checked there. Not to mention that Cobain and Love were on the verge of divorce, meaning the Love losing a lot of money due to the prenup that they both signed. You know what fucking pisses me off. You know what fucking pisses me off. Fuck this bitch. Why did Courtney Love have to come rolling up into the fucking list? Number 6, alright. Australia in 1967. Our Prime Minister Harold Holt went swimming with friends and never returned. Uh-oh. His body has never been found, and there are still conspiracy theories that they say he killed himself, or was a Chinese spy, or was eaten by a shark. Eaten by a shark. I'm gonna go swimming, guys. I'll see you guys later. Number 5. The Taman Shud case. Why do I feel like I've definitely heard this name before? Tamon should have not died. Okay, you like that one? Unidentified man found dead in Adelaide with Tamon should, meaning finished, on a scrap of the rubaiyat in a hidden pocket on his pants. No one knows who he is or how he died. Nigga just showed up. Nobody knows who the fuck he is. Got finished on a piece of paper in his pants. Somebody said you may find this interesting. Somebody says, as fun as it is to believe that he solved it, he most likely hasn't. On a small ciphertext, it's very easy to come up with a convenient letter substitution to say something readable. You can try it here yourself. Man. Number 4, Pope John Paul I. He was Pope for only 33 days. That's just over a month, baby. And one night, on the night of his death, he was found in his bed, dead. Dead in his bed. That's what he get for rustling feathers as the Pope, baby. You don't get to come in here and fucking, you know, disturb the status quo. That's not what being Pope is all about. You need to wave and live your life, homie. Pope got internet now, unlimited access to little boys. He's living that life. You know what I mean? He's like king of the priests. Pope priest. King Pope. Oh my God. And little boys, when it comes to the Pope, always say nope. Okay? You're an idiot. All right. Many conspiracy theorists believe that he was murdered because he was initiating radical changes in the papacy, and no one would agree with them. No one can agree on who found him and at what time and what he was reading at the time of death. On top of that, the church refused to do an autopsy or investigate any claims. The church said, I don't know what you're talking about. What Pope? What Pope? Get out of here. Go do some praying. Get out of here. I'm the church. Oh my God. So as we roll up to number 3, Edgar Allan Poe. Dude vanished for 2 weeks, then turns up in a random gutter, mortally wounded and spouting gibberish until he died. Yeah, people thought that nigga was rabid when they found him. Poor Edgar Allan Poe, man. What a G. The king of the Goths. The original Goth. Okay. And here we go. Somebody just got this motherfucker. He wasn't even in his clothes when they found him. Yep, somebody responds he was also found wearing clothes that weren't his. Based on the time period that this occurred, it was around the time of an election, and people probably believe he was used as a repeat voter. Oh, really? Oh, really? It's funny how times have changed. People could get away with all kinds of shit back then. At this time, regulations to make sure everyone only voted once were not very strict, and it was common practice for people to go around collecting men from bars, drugging them or getting them very drunk, and repeatedly sending them back into polling stations in new clothes to vote for a specific candidate. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine shit being so loose that you could just run outside, put on a hat, put on a coat, and run in and be like, yes, I do believe I'm voting for Hillary as well once again, even though I'm dead. You know what I mean? People just being like, you know, go digging up a dog out of a graveyard and being like, hey, I know this dog's dead, but what if the dog votes in favor of abolishing net neutrality because the, FCC is got it going on. I'm dead, but I think the FCC is pretty cool. You know what I mean? Weird. And they getting away with it, ladies and gentlemen. What are we going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? That's the world you live in. America. What are you going to do about it? Number 2, my parents say that my dog, Arcanine, we were just talking about a dog. Well, our dog was dead. My parents say that my dog Arcanine now lives. Oh wait, of course the dog's going to be dead because it's in a death list. Uh-oh. My parents say that my dog Arcanine now lives on a farm in El Paso where he runs and plays all day. Guys, I don't think Arcanine lives on that farm at all. Arcanine's a pretty good name for a dog. I'm now naming my dog Arcanine, and if I have a cat, I will name it Artemis or Luna, depending on whether or not it's black or white. And if the cat is a tabby cat, then I'm getting another cat. And by another cat, I mean I'm getting rid of the tabby cat and then getting a black or white cat, because you want a black or white cat. Those cats are cute. I want a black cat. I want a black cat. There's a lot of really good vibes and, you know, totally totally like lucky shit going on with a black cat, you know? I heard if you get a black cat under a ladder and break some mirrors or some shit, like good luck for life and shit. That's what I want. As we roll up to number 1 on this list, maybe not the most suspicious, but I always thought that the DC madam hanging herself in Florida right before she was about to expose her clients was hard to believe. Well, she deserved what she got, the bitch. I'm kidding. Nobody deserves to die. Not true. A lot of people do deserve to die. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore, so fuck it. I mean, you know, some people deserve to die. Hey, baby, you know what I'm talking about? Maybe she didn't deserve this, okay? But maybe if you're running a business, you know, maybe you need to run that business like a man. Run a business, baby. Don't expose people. What are you trying to, I mean, maybe she was balling, you know, maybe that was the actual business. She was going to make some money out of exposing these motherfuckers. So she was, that's hardball business. That's money ball business. You know what I'm talking about? There's like business, like, I'm running a business. And then there's business. And that's what she fucked up with. She was trying to do business by exposing her clients. Dude, you can't do that. They came and they paid, you know, and they just wanted to fuck around with some hot tail, you know, and now you out here trying to expose them to their wives. Bitch, you crazy. We gonna hang your ass. I thought this brothel was cool. Bitch, you ain't cool. Anyway, bitch, you ain't cool. Okay, yo. Someone responds, especially when she said that she had no plans to commit suicide. Paul Frey also said that she was at risk of being killed and the authorities would make it look like a suicide. She made it clear that she was not suicidal, and if she was found dead, that it would be a murder. No, I'm not planning to commit suicide. Oh my God. She told Alex Jones this. Hell nah. She was planning on exposing the government. And those were your last words, bitch. And those were your last words. Guys, you know, I'm no scientist. I'm no scholar. I'm no academic here. But if you're gonna do something like expose the government, do it. Okay? Don't talk about it. You don't have the time to ramp that up, okay? You need an immediate audience if you're gonna do something like that. And by immediate audience, I mean enough niggas that's gonna be able to record this shit and have it offline. Not even on the computer is safe. You know what I'm talking about? Not even online is safe. But to record that shit and have it in an offline way where it can't immediately be neutralized so that it can be shared in a way where a lot of people can get it. Don't talk about exposing the government. I'm going to expose the government. I'm going to go to court and I'm going to show all these people. They could just get on the internet and do it. And then, you know, if it's not true, it'll just float with all the other turds on the internet, dude. But if it is true, it'll come out eventually. Eventually it'll come to rise. The way all of that shit with all of these perverts that were fucking messing with ladies and shit, all of that came back. It just floated back to the surface, and people were like, nah, nigga, remember a couple of years ago when this dude was saying that? Oh my God, it was true. You know what I mean? And all these Family Guy clips and all these Simpsons clips that's coming up going, oh, even they were joking about it. Remember this and remember that? I'm like, God damn, just get that shit out there. This was her error here. But hey, maybe the internet wasn't happening at the time when this rolled down. But if the Huffington Post has articles on it, when was this, baby? 2008. Yeah, the internet was in its infancy during that time. I remember in 2006 on the internet, that was when shit was popping, baby. 2006, 2007, that's when 4chan was irrelevant, baby. Shit was on and popping. Well, we just destroyed that list, so the last one that we're going through, as voted by you guys, is of course the worst death in history. Oh my God. So, let's go ahead and go down to like, damn, 25? Well, okay. Well, Father Jean de Brebeuf and Father Gabriel Lallemand. They died after pissing off the Iroquois, near Midland, Ontario in Canada. How you piss off the Indians? Well, if the accounts of the time are true, their fingernails were torn out. Come on, man. Oh, fuck. I just dug my nails into my palm. Hopefully that will protect them from this horrifying story. If the accounts of the time are true, the fingernails were torn out, the hands were cut off, they were beaten with sticks from head to toe, boiling water was poured over their heads, red-hot hatchets went into their armpits and groins, belts made out of bark soaked in tar and set on fire. From Beboff they cut out his tongue and cut off his lips and nose, and L'Allemand had his eyes torn out and red-hot coals shoved into his empty eye sockets. Finally killed by cutting open their chest and tearing their hearts out. L'Allemand lasted for several hours, longer apparently. Oh, it's just a picture of that stupid rat that got his balls caught in the damn wooden fence and then slid down and then hung there, caught by his balls. Anyway, number 24 here. I was in Seattle when this carny at a fair got killed. He made it to the Wikipedia list of horrible deaths once. He was serving the roller coaster while it was active and full of passengers. As the coaster was going through the loop, he was standing on the outside looking at the mechanism. The wind from the ride whipped his hair into the air, wrapped around the wheel, and took him off his feet. As he was dragged into the air by the speeding roller coaster, his throat was gutted on the track hardware. But just as the roller coaster reached the apex of the loop, the inertia created what was enough to tear his scalp off, freeing him from the coaster. Throat cut and head scalped, the carny flew through the air and arterial sprayed a classroom full of little children on a field trip. What kind of movie shit? Waiting in line for another ride before coming to rest perpendicularly on a section of steel railing which folded him in half like a beach towel, finally killing him right in front of all the kids. Merry Christmas, kids. Merry Christmas, kids. This is some movie shit. I want to see a fucking like virtual reality reconstruction of this shit. You kidding me? That's another one. That's somebody else. Boy, all I know is it's scary. Number 21. Not especially painful because of how fast it happened, but the explosive decompression experienced by diver Truls Hellevik. His body was later determined to have completely exploded. What? All of his thoracic and abdominal organs, and even his thoracic spine, were ejected, as well as all of his limbs. Simultaneously, his remains were expelled through the narrow trunk opening left by the jammed chamber door. Left in six. What the fuck? Fragments of his body were found scattered about the rig. One part was even found lying on the rig's derrick, 10 meters directly above the chambers. Some dude just blew the fuck up, literally diving too deep. boy. Come on now, boy. Number 20. There was a Hungarian rebel in the 1400s who was forced to hold a glowing hot metal scepter on a glowing hot metal throne with a glowing hot iron crown. His followers were forced to eat parts of him, which were ripped off of him while he was alive. What the fuck? Somebody, number 19 just says Google Plus. Ha 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 ha. Gruesome death, worst death in history. Come on, man. Number 18. Takuya Nagaya, 23 years old, from Japan, started to slither on the floor and talk about becoming a snake. Freak. His mother took this to mean that he had been possessed by a snake demon and called for her husband, 53-year-old Katsumi Nagaya, who spent the next 2 days physically beating his son in an attempt to exorcise the demon. This kills the Takuya. Somebody said that. Ah! This kills the Takuya. I'm sorry. I found a Reddit, I found my Reddit kin. I'm so sorry. Ooh, this kills the Takuya. Because it's like a joke. It's like a Reddit thing. Never mind. Ugh, forgive my autism. This kills the Takuya, dude. Come on. Oh my god. Can you imagine? I love it because all right, check it out. I love it because of this. Imagine how many stupid ass little kids have no identity of their own. And that's all little kids are trying to do is separate themselves, Well, some of them, most of them are just trying to be the same as all these other basic niggas. But, some kids, when they coming up, they really want to do something that makes them unique, They're going to wear something. They're going to make their hair a certain way. They're going to put on certain clothes. They're going to do something strange that sets them apart for everybody else. So a lot of these kids end up on Tumblr and they decide that they're going to be, I don't know, fucking genderless or, some phrase that's just dumb and they're an idiot. Okay. Maybe some people want to become a furry because, hey, man, that's pretty different. That's out there. A lot of people ain't doing that. You know what I'm talking about? This dude just decided he wanted to be a snake. I'm going to be a snake. And his mom was like, that boy is possessed by the devil. And his dad came home and said, no, you ain't a snake. You ain't fucking snake, baby. No snake in my house. You ain't snake, bitch. You ain't snake, bitch. This kills the Takuya. As we continue up to number 16, nice try, R.R. Martin. You'll just have to come up with your own ideas for books. A Game of Thrones reference. Or somebody who doesn't care for Game of Thrones. So, as we roll up to number 15. Balthazar Gerards. Executed for the assassination. You want to try that again, Sean Connery? Executed for the assassination of William I of Orange. The torturing included being whipped with a lash. After this, his wounds were smeared with honey. No, so a goat could lick it up. I drink your milkshake. The goat didn't cooperate, though. He was forced to sleep with his hands and feet bound together. A weight of 300 pounds was attached to his big toe for half an hour. He was fitted with well-oiled too small shoes made of uncured dog skin. He was put in front of a fire so the heat contracted the shoes and crushed his feet. The remainder half-burned skin was torn off. His armpits were branded. He was dressed in shirt soaked in alcohol, and they poured burning bacon fat over him. If this was not enough, they placed nails between the flesh and the nails of his hands and feet. The execution was supposedly this. The magistrates decreed that the right hand of Gerard should be burned off with a red-hot iron, that his flesh should be torn from his bones with pincers in 6 different places, that he should be quartered and disemboweled alive, his heart torn from his bosom and flung in his face, and that finally his head should be taken off. Too long didn't read Don't Kill the Father of a Nation. Look, it's time to get the fuck up out of this list. I'm getting kind of hungry. All right. So number 14, anyone who was killed by Vlad the Impaler. He had some of the most brutal torture methods I've ever heard of. He's truly one sick bastard. Oh, jeez. Someone says anything is a dildo if you're brave enough. Abraham Lincoln. Okay. Number 13. The explorer David Douglas, the discoverer of Douglas fir. He fell, or allegedly was pushed, into a cow trap, which is basically a big pit full of spikes. Then a cow fell on top of him. Impaled by spikes while simultaneously being crushed by an angry, flailing cow. Not much fun. What kind of Sonic the Hedgehog in real life bullshit is this? Somebody said, why would you need to trap a cow? And how is a cow with how is a spike trap really a trap? Can't you trap a cow with like a fenced in area? You know what I'm talking about? Cow spike trap? What the fuck? Yeah, Google don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. Some prehistoric shit, baby. Is that a cow with a tire on its head? Boy, this cow need to retire. You see what you know what I'm talking about? All right, never mind. Boy, number 12. One of the victims of Jeffrey Dahmer, Lindsay. Fuck me, Kyle. God. Lindsay was heterosexual. He was lured to Dahmer's apartment, where he was drugged and endured muriatic acid being poured into his skull throughout a cavity which Dahmer had drilled. Oh yeah, I remember this. Dahmer was trying to consider himself some kind of badass, like, mind control nigga that could create living human zombies. His amazing plan was just to drill a hole in the head and pour acid in there. That ought to do it, right? According to Dahmer, Lindsay awoke after the experiment, which Dahmer had conceived in hope of inducing a permanent, unresistant, submissive state. Yeah, trying to make him a zombie. And he awoke saying, I have a headache. What time is it? Someone says, I still get angry when the one victim, who was underage, was with the police and the police gave him back to Dahmer. I hope those assholes got fired. Somebody said one of them got promoted and given an award. Ha ha ha. Oh, ain't that just the police? Fuck me. Dr. Scam says that in Vietnam, they would have traps like those called punji sticks, which were usually sharpened bamboo or rebar covered in human shit. It wasn't enough to just impale somebody. They had to, you know, get shit inside of them to induce some of that sepsis. Sepsis on some toast. I'm sorry. Number 11. I haven't actually watched it myself, but there's a video floating around LiveLeak where some cartel members kill another member of a different cartel in the following way. They cut off / chop off his limbs one at a time. Then they get some jumper cables, attach them to a car, and at the other end to the victim's eyes, and they fire it up and he's alive when they start, and the screams are just too much to handle. Okay. You know, that's the scariest one because that's available to you right now. You can look that up if you're brave enough. You know what I'm talking about? My God, why are we, you know, I'll go to watch people die occasionally, right? Because I can handle some of that, you know, nice and far away camera stuff where it's like, oh man, this guy was riding down the street and then a bus hit him. Oh no. And oh, this guy, he was on his motorcycle and then he fell off the motorcycle. He wasn't wearing a helmet. And then, oh my God, a bus runs over his head. Something like that. You know what I mean? Oh my God, is this person going to make it across this train track? Oh no, they got hit. Oh geez. No close-ups. Nothing crazy. All right. This, as soon as we get the close-ups in there, it's too much. I remember one time there was this dude jumping off a building and everybody was just screaming, oh my God, he's flying through there and he hits the ground. But then at the end of the video now, okay, You see the dude walking up to close to the body now. Like, there's nobody around. There's no authorities around to keep anybody away. He just walked right up to the body, and he's just like videotaping in silence this guy that's like contorted and twisted and just broken. This body is broken. You know what I'm talking about? Oh no, you can't even twist a doll to look like this. And that's when I go, maybe I've had enough of this subreddit. Okay. Bing bong. Maybe I've had enough of this subreddit. When it comes to certain subreddits, in here, you can't even get what you watch people there in their turn. Man throws himself under the rear tires of a bus. No way. Oh my God. Okay. You know he's gonna do it though. The implication is that he's gonna do it. Just discharged from the hospital, a woman and her daughter are behind an ambulance when it reverses, running over the child. Nope. Woman suspected in drug trafficking is shot to death as she walked down the sidewalk, watching her phone. Oh my God. Moscow student falls over dead in the school gym. What do you mean falls over dead? This one? Oh my God. She poisoned? What happened here? Whoa. Oh no. Do we have an article on that? Somebody says it just looks heart related. Somebody says the typical way people with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy seem to go. Man. Look. What have we bitten off here? Number 9. Kato the Younger attempted to commit suicide by disembowelment. He passed out from the pain, and his lieutenants had a surgeon sew him back up. Upon coming to, Kato tore open the freshly sewn cut and pulled his intestines out with his own bare hands. Oh. Okay. Number 8. The guy who invented the brazen bull. We read about this just now in that other one. Bing bong. People who were sentenced to the boats. Oh, can we not? We just did that. Thank God. Thank God we've done some of these, so I don't have to live that life. On July 20th, 1981, 24-year-old David Allen Kerwin from La Canada, California, was driving through Yellowstone's Fountain Paint Pot thermal area with his friend Ronald Ratliff. Give me a second. I get a little more comfortable here. I can't believe I've been doing this for an hour and a half. Come on now. Anyway, oh boy, yeah. That's better. That's better. I should get a camera on me just like laying sprawled out on my love seat. Now I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about now. Need a little bit of big titty action. Maybe like a fireplace in the background. We can make it happen, man. Anyway, he was driving through Yellowstone's Fountain Paint Pot thermal area with his friend Ronald Ratliff and Ratliff's dog, Moosey. Oh, what a cute name for a doggy, Moosey. At about 1 p.m., they parked their truck to get out and take a closer look at the hot springs. Moosey escaped from the truck, ran towards the nearby Celestine Pool, a thermal spring whose water temperature has been measured at over 200 degrees. He jumped in and began yelping, "You stupid dog." Kerwin and Ratliff rushed over to the pool to aid the terrified dog, and Kerwin's attitude indicated that he was about to go into the spring after it. According to bystanders, several people tried to warn Kerwin off by yelling at him not to jump in. But he shouted, "Like hell I won't," back at them, took 2 steps into the pool, and then dove headfirst into the boiling spring. Kerwin swam out to the dog and attempted to take it to shore, and he then disappeared underwater, let go of the dog, and tried to climb out of the pool. Ratliff helped pull Kerwin out of the hot spring, resulting in second-degree burns to his own feet. And another visitor led Kerwin to the sidewalk as he reportedly muttered, "That was stupid. How bad am I? That was a stupid thing I did." Kerwin was indeed in very bad shape. He was blind, and when another park visitor tried to remove one of his shoes, his skin, which was already peeling everywhere, came off with it. He sustained third-degree burns to over 100% of his body, including his head, and died the following morning at Salt Lake City Hospital. Moosey didn't survive either. Perhaps David Allen Kerwin didn't realize just how hot thermal springs really are. Perhaps he didn't consider the deadly effect submersion in water of such temperatures would have on him, or perhaps blind emotion drove him to act without taking even the briefest moment to consider his own safety. Foolish, brave, rash, or otherwise, can any of us imagine a circumstance, no matter how dire, under which someone would willingly dive head first into a pool of boiling water? My favorite part is that everybody was around going, "Nah, nigga, nah, don't do this. Not this. Don't do it. It's not like, it's a little hot." You know what I mean? This will, they pulled his shoe off and the skin came off, baby. Uh-oh. Shh. Dog killed himself. What the fuck? Number 5. Look, whoa. Oh, it's Junko Furuta again. Thank God. So we don't have to do that. Oh boy. Number 3. The story of Edward II is probably false, but it always creeps me out. Edward's wife reportedly put a funnel in his anus and poured burning coals into his body, burning him to death from the inside out. Also, for a bonus, the funniest death in history was Chrysippus. He was a philosopher who was partying hard one night and decided to feed his donkey some figs. Upon seeing his donkey eat the figs, he apparently yelled, "Give that donkey some wine to help his meal," and got his donkey drunk, which he found so insanely funny, he laughed until he died of asphyxiation. I hope to God nothing's ever that funny to me. That's a really scary way to die. You can't breathe because it's that funny. Oh shit, that's a scary way to die, baby. Number 2. A woman sat in the bath and dropped a bar heater in and electrocuted herself. Current wasn't enough to kill her, but enough to have her seize in place. The bath was heated up till boiling over the next 20 hours. When only a little bit of water was left, the heater shorted. Oh my God. Oh my God, boy. Number 1 goes to Hiroshi Uichi. Japanese worker that got a super deadly radiation dose when material he worked with got critical. He's still alive. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Look, let this be a treat for the people who are watching the stream in person. I have to wonder if I would get in trouble for showing this picture. I get in trouble for everything. Let me just give you a little bit of taste. That's all you get. That's the leg and the arm right there. I'm not showing you the rest of that picture. But there it is in the stream chat. Oh my God. You can Google it. You can Google it if you're watching this after the fact. I love you. But you know, let's make it so that YouTube doesn't have another reason to pull everything off the internet. Pretty scary stuff. Hope you enjoyed this list. Can't believe we've been doing this for an hour and 40 minutes. Hope you're having a great Christmas Eve. If you're watching this after the fact, I appreciate you. And thank you for liking the video. Oh my god. Yeah, punk bitch. As we roll up to just to see what's going on the Reddit homepage. Probably a lot of nothing as usual. Yeah. Stupid. People showing people how to wrap gifts. Come on now. Come on now. Guys, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas. Hannah was sweet enough to go overboard on a Wii U. So apparently that may be on its way. And I'll have to get a capture card so I can share the appropriate Breath of the Wild gameplay with you guys. Hannah strikes again, guys. I love you to death, though. You know, I can't get enough of you. And if you want to see me play something later today, I'll try to make that happen. But I don't think anybody cares. What would you guys want to see me play if I did play? Well, what do you guys think I should play if I do play something? It was nice to see you, Kiki, and it's nice to see everybody. Thanks again for being here. Thank you, Kevin, for your wonderful donation. I'd like to thank my amazing patrons for being next level. Honestly, my patrons are scary because you guys are more dank than some other channels. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I know channels with like hundreds of thousands of subs, and I just know that my patrons are better than they are. Okay, boom shakalaka. Also want to thank my sponsors, because you're making some gangster shit happen in other ways where that's rolling around like very consistently as well, and I love it because I don't have to worry about anything the way that a lot of people probably have to worry and probably can't, do what they do consistently. I really want to open some shit up and make other kind of series happen here, so we're gonna have to look into that in a way where somebody else can be writing my shit so that I can just be editing and recording and go from there. But I love you guys to death. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas. And unless something comes between me and tomorrow, you guys should be seeing me tomorrow as well. So stay amazing. Looks like 2 people are saying hat in time. 3 people are saying hat in time. You girls in your hat in time. Faith, Linda, and Vanessa. That's what they want. Well, if I do stream, I'll stream that. And I'll see you guys soon. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Bye.